Hey guys, Deborah here. I have some time-sensitive stuff I want to share with you guys. It's kind of crazy, and some stuff I heard from other different watchmen on YouTube, some things I heard for myself, and other things a friend of mine kind of shared with me, and I put it all together, and I'm just kind of blown away. So there are a lot of things going on right now that relate to some biblical prophetic timelines and time periods. And I'm going to try to tie it in together in this video and paint a picture of why that we may be on a pretty short clock right now. So yeah, I am not saying it's 100% for sure. I am saying this could be big and it could be time sensitive. So anyway, let's just get into the video. So the first thing I want to mention is that this is the 7th Jewish month right now, like we're in Tishri, which many people know, which is the 7th month. And a lot of things took place, just conveniently, on the 17th day of the 7th month, which for us would be October 17th. But no, sorry, I believe it was October 16th would be their 7th month of their 17th day. Sorry, the 17th day of their 7th month. Either way, you could look at it, both days were kind of significant because the 17th day on our calendar would still be within their 7th month, or the 16th day on our calendar would be their 17th day in the 7th month. It's confusing, but basically it kind of overlaps because we're not on the same time clock. So that's why this calendar stuff is confusing. But I think it all is just like symbols and things that God's just pointing to us, like symbolically trying to speak to us. And so basically it all wraps around 717, those numbers. And as many of you know, 717 in Strong's means to gather and to pluck. I believe that's in Greek. I'm not sure if it's in Hebrew and Greek, but in either Hebrew or Greek, it means to gather or to pluck, which is literally the same as 726, which is harpazo, to gather and pluck us. And then you have, and again, this one's Hebrew. So that one was Greek. This is Hebrew. It means basically Armageddon. So 717 in Strong's Hebrew means, well, Harmageddon, but basically it's a word for Armageddon. It says usage Armageddon. So in the Greek, it means to pluck and gather, which is basically the rapture. And then in Hebrew, it means Armageddon, which we believe it all happens at the same time. We go up and all this stuff starts happening down here. That you cannot get away from. And again, I'm going to show you these crazy things that happened on 717, Tishri 17. Okay, so another huge thing about 717 is it means Yahweh. Like, what the heck? Like, the symbols in Hebrew actually look like a 7, a 1, and a 7. That's absolutely crazy. And so you can't deny that so many Christians have been seeing this, and I think it's just a sign. I mean, it is just a sign. And the Davidic coin that just came out, the new coin that was minted in Israel, it's basically 717. I mean, many of us have seen this. I just want to point it out because of all these crazy things that happened on Tishri 17, which is going to tie into some time-sensitive things, prophetic things, and you're just going to be like, what the heck? And yeah, I think it also means David. I think the symbols also mean David, and that's why it's the Davidic coin, but they also mean Yahweh, 717. So all this is happening on Tishri 17. So let's get into the things that happen. You have Elijah Cummings, who's, I don't know much about him, but he's an American, man in politics, and he died on October 17th, which is kind of a crossover to their Tishri 17th, which is 717. And yeah, that's like a big event for the Americans, but there's more to it than that. And why bring this up, you say? Well, because think about his name, Elijah Cummings. What does the Bible say? It says Elijah will come before the great and terrible day of the Lord. So yeah, that happened on, what do we see again? Tishri 17, which would be 717, which means to pluck and to gather, and Armageddon. Does that mean we were plucked and gathered and Armageddon started? No. Again, it is a huge like beacon, a symbol. A lot of things the Lord shows us is in symbols and signs. Can't say 100% understand it all, but it means like get ready. Start telling people, about what you realize and that the Lord's going to return. Like this is crazy. On 717, Elijah Cummings passes away. And we know, again, I said Elijah will come before the great and terrible day of the Lord. That is not a coincidence. So let's go into the actual verse that says that. So you have in Malachi 4, it says, "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet, that in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." Now, there you go. It says Elijah will come before the great day of the Lord. And it says, and Elijah Cummings passed away on the 717 date. Now, it's funny that this happened because the previous video I just did said it's about the two witnesses and saying that they could possibly be John and Daniel. Please check out that video, just saying that it's a possibility, not a for sure, that they were the two witnesses. And it's very crazy. Like there's no record of them dying and all this other stuff. So, but the point of the matter is, it could be Elijah. Elijah could be one of the two witnesses. Most people think that anyway. But the point is, it'd be interesting if it was Elijah, because now Elijah Cummings has just passed away, and that could be a sign saying he's coming. You know what I mean? Well, he says Elijah will come before the great and terrible day of the Lord, but we don't know in what form and what that means. Is he one of the two witnesses? Is he coming in another way? I don't know. But this is not a coincidence. And I just find it interesting that I just did that video on the two witnesses. Does that mean the two witnesses are about to appear because this man has just passed away? This is a sign, a beacon flashing. Again, it's not a coincidence. We don't know 100% what it all means, but it means wake up. So, what's the next big 717 thing? On October 17th, we have the 120-hour ceasefire between the U.S. and Turkey, firing on, attacking Syria. I mean, it's just a horrible mess over there. And we know we're waiting for this whole Damascus countdown. We don't know when this is going to happen. We don't want anyone to be harmed, but the Bible says that it'll become a ruinous heap. And we know when that happens, all this is going to kick off, because right now, with basically Turkey getting in, the U.S. troops pulling out of, Syria, and then Turkey coming in. And I don't pretend to 100% know everything, but just, you can see that it's perfect for them to be surrounding Israel. I mean, they're placing everybody now, all, the civilians are fleeing, and it's a perfect scenario for them to be surrounding Israel to attack them. And then it says, when Israel's surrounded, that this is all basically going to happen, that when you see Israel surrounded by armies. So we know right now there's a 120-hour ceasefire, and I'm going to tell you why this 120 number is kind of huge. So basically, the first thing I will say yet again is, it happened on Tishri 717, and there's that to pluck and gather and Armageddon. Are these all signs? But the biggest sign to me is the 120-hour ceasefire, that number, 120. Now, why, you say, is that a big deal? Well, the number 120 has been in the Bible a couple of times, and let's get into where. We know that man has a lifespan limit of 120 years, that in the Bible, it speaks of man's lifespan. And let's talk about where that verse is. Okay, you go to Genesis 6:2-4. It says that the sons of God saw that, I'm not even going to read all that. This is just basically talking about before the flood. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So there's the 120. Isn't it funny? It's a 120-hour ceasefire. What is it saying there? It is saying that there's a couple different interpretations. One, it's saying that a man's life will not be longer than 120 years, that he won't, strive with them any longer than that. But this is just prior to the flood. And many believe through calculation that it was on 120-year warning before the flood would come, that Noah would, be preaching and building the ark for 120 days, and then the flood would come. So they had 120 days before the flood. Now, am I saying there's 120 hours before some sort of flood is about to take place? Maybe. We're already up to like 72 hours since October 17th. So here's where it talks a little bit about, I just did a screenshot of like the countdown to the flood. Like some people have broke it down that, the event started 120 years, then Noah had Japheth, and they used the different times the children were born and stuff like that to calculate when it was possible that, if it was possible that this is a 120-year countdown. So it's not 100%, but someone went to the trouble of kind of like looking at how, because some certain things aren't, spelled out for us, how long it took to do certain things. But through calculating the years of the children that he had and different things, this is a way that we can see that it looks like that was 120. It was like a dual meaning, because the Lord didn't say you have 120 years to build the ark, but he said at that moment when it talks about the, the sons of God looked at the daughters of men and they saw they were beautiful, they had children with them, they did abominable things, and then therefore that's when the Lord said, like, this is it. And then you hear of Noah starting to build the ark. So why is it exactly 120 that it's 120-hour ceasefire on 717? And we know, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the return of the Son of Man, at the coming of the Son of Man. So there were so many things that happened on Tishri 17. There was Elijah coming, and he's going to come before the great and terrible day of the Lord. There's the whole fact that 717 means to pluck and to gather, and Armageddon. So many people have been seeing this and have had this so strongly put upon their spirit. And also the fact that this ceasefire happened on that day. This is not a coincidence. And it said it was 120 hours. What's going to happen now at the end of the 120 hours? I mean, things are already getting rough. Where at this point, like today, I know something, I believe there was a soldier that was killed and the ceasefire is almost up, but I don't know. Again, like, I'm not sure like how it's going to play out or what's going to happen. All I know is that this is crazy, and it's not a coincidence, all the things that happen on 717. And again, just not a coincidence. And I just feel this 120 number is really significant. You have certain pastors and people, I should say Pastor Sandy on YouTube. I mean, I don't know if whoever has watched him before, who has or hasn't, but on his channel, he's talked a lot about Psalm 120, I believe, representing, I think, the rapture. All I know is Psalm 120 is key, and that's again with that 120 number. So all I can say is something is up. 120 hours until the ceasefire is over. And this 717 thing is interesting too, because of course on actual October, I think it was October 16th, which was still Tishri 717 because it's a crossover day. But I woke up in the morning, my child got me up to make her breakfast. She came in our room and to get me, and it literally at that moment it was 717. Why do I have a picture, you ask? Is because for some reason I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take a quick picture of the fact that it's, Tishri 17, and I'm waking up literally at 717. Like, I literally woke up. I didn't wait for it to turn that. I woke up at 717. And it's so funny because a good friend of mine who she was texting me all about the number 120, probably about 3-4 days ago, a week ago, something like that, all about 120, and saying it is so crazy how the number 120 is so many times in the Bible. She actually found it in another verse in Acts talking about Peter counting, standing up, and that's when Judas was replaced by another disciple. But again, with the 120, and she was mentioning how that's about the days of Noah and all this stuff. She had texted me this way before the ceasefire, way before 717 Tishri 17, way before this 100, as I said, the 120-hour ceasefire, way before, Elijah Cummings, that I knew that he had passed away. Well, that he had passed away. It was before that. And before all this information, it was like I was getting all these pieces to a puzzle that was coming to me. I wanted to give you a screenshot of her text because it's like, but it had some personal information. It's kind of crazy because she texts me saying, hey, isn't it funny how much 120 is in the Bible? That's just an interesting number. And then all of a sudden there's a 120-hour ceasefire on 717. And that is how many days that God is going to strive with man. And then after that, no more. And the fact that that could be 120-hour warning to a flood, because it was 120-year warning to the flood. I don't know. It could be or could not be. All I know is there's too many crazy coincidences that all happened on Tishri 717, to pluck and together, and Armageddon. So is this all going to start? I don't know. All I can say is be ready, believe the Lord Jesus Christ is your Savior. If you have not, trust in him now and you will be saved. Anyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Tell others, pray for your lost loved ones and those who don't believe, and try to share the gospel as best you can. And thank you guys for listening. And I hope that was very interesting to you, because it really was to me. And until next time, God bless and shalom.